Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. First, thanks to our speakers who are connecting through different time zones in different parts of the world. And thanks to everyone that is supporting us in all of our projects through Facebook, and in all social media platforms. This is the OHOW One Humanity, One World Conference of this month. Its main topic is Faces of War, which is more talking about peace and why war shouldn't exist anymore. So as all of you should know by now, all this global social movement started based on the basis of a manifesto that I wrote back in June last year. Okay, so this is the manifesto. It's quite short, simple. It's a manifesto written by an activist. So I basically try to provide practical solutions and trying to prove that peace is possible if we actually develop a plan for it. So one of the main topics of this manifesto is how we could actually have a peace budget. Even if it sounds crazy or not, every year, $2 trillion, and I emphasize on the $2 trillion, are destined to military. And military is just based on killing people. So $2 trillion each year just dedicated for murdering other human beings, to me it sounds absolutely crazy. And I think that should not exist at all, because $2 trillion could be used to support growth population, to develop science, to make our wealth and living better, etc., etc., etc. So we talk about sustainable peace, and how can we end up the business that wars are? And I believe that with all the pains that our planet is suffering today, and that has suffered already through history, we already had enough to reach a certain maturity to actually say that we do not need wars. Basically because the arguments that the governments use to say that we need wars, they always trying to find an imaginary enemy to make you think that you should fight against others just because they are different to you, so you can take what is from others. But in One Humanity, One World, we basically defend that we are just one world family. And that means that what belongs to me belongs to all of us, and we should not take life from our brothers and sisters, neither conquer their homes, but always on the basis of respect. So I am very happy that we are holding a conference in such an important matter. And I am very happy to come with the presence of people who have lived through their own experiences, what the faces of war really are and what it can be, and what it's like to risk your life for these causes. So of course, I'm not the only one who is going to speak here today. We have our co-creator of One Humanity, One World, which is Leong. He's also a devoted person to humanitarianism and activist as well. And I'm pretty aware that he has been helping on peace negotiations, like for example, right now on Afghanistan. And then we invited to come with us Teresa Nacli, which is a UN activist and founder of the Museum of the Future Foundation. She's gonna try to join us later. She's right now going into illness. So we just have our prayers for her to feel good enough to join us, as she always does. She's always supporting us. Then I am very happy that Vincent is with us today. He's founder of We Can Save the Children, and someone that is brave enough to go to the battlefield and actually talk about peace, knowing what it really means. Then we have Sevgul Metin, and another beautiful activist. I'm very happy to have a woman, I must say that, and who has fight for the rights of all the women and defending victims of other conflicts. Then we have David Karlsson, which is the representative of the Call to the World Peace Association, and he's always sharing wisdom about how we can always find more peaceful ways in life through a more genuine behavior. And then last but not least, I'm very happy and honored to have Sami Steigmann. He's an Holocaust survivor and a speaker. And I think that it's very important to keep present our past just to learn from it, and not to keep the hate, but the wisdom we can learn from our mistakes. So after said that, I'm just gonna end up saying that in One Humanity, One World, for example, right now, we are developing an educational curriculum. And one of the most important things we're doing when it comes to teaching children is that we no longer want the glorification of war. We have been raised up in a way that we are cheered to play with toy soldiers and toy weapons. What are we doing to our subconscious? So wars are not for heroes, but for criminals. And what should be our heroes are peacemakers, like the activists that are in this platform with us today. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I'm gonna pass this over to my best friend, Leong, for him to give his speech. And I just want to send all my blessings to you all. Leong, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea, for that amazing introduction, but most of all for giving us this platform to voice our absolutely anti-war for peace. In a way, I feel very inadequate because I share this platform. Obviously, I know the people, and some of these people have gone through horrendous real wars. Unlike me, I just watch it from my computer. So, and I preach from my computer. Whereas, people like Sami has gone through a horrendous Holocaust himself. So he's faced war. And then our collective superhero, Vincent, he's taken a bullet to the head, trying to save children. Okay, so I feel totally inadequate, but I can only do what I can do, and that's use my voice to basically campaign for real superheroes. And then we, as you know, Andrea, last night you with our other collective members, Fathers Asker, who's also been on the frontline war. And part of the UN missionary in Africa and the Middle East, and Teresa Nacli. I hope her health is better. We were on a protest rally, global protest rally yesterday on Burma. So those that knows that the military a week ago has basically rearrested Aung San, the president, and basically reinstated martial law in Burma. And we are hearing firsthand of the horrendous situation there. So, of not just protesters being curfew, but being used as target practice by snipers. It's like, so it's always in war. It's always the innocent that dies. It's always the innocent that suffers. It's always the innocent that get raped. It's always the innocent. Okay. Never the guilty party, all right? And shame on us humans that continuously perpetuate these horrendous acts. Will we never learn? Okay, and we better learn, because we are in a time of weapons of mass destruction. Okay, we have a nuclear arsenal that can wipe out all 7.8 billion human beings. 7 times over, okay? Not once, but 7 times over, okay? Why are we spending money on nuclear weapons to kill us not once, but 7 times? Ask yourself that, okay? That's a sickening statistic, okay? And the nuclear weapons probably not even the worst weapon. We've all seen what a COVID pandemic. Imagine an engineered bioweapon that has 100% mortality, an infection rate. Can that be engineered? Absolutely. Okay. All right. Imagine that being released on humanity. Okay. So you humans, all of us, better wake up. Okay. Because there may be another tomorrow for us if we continue down this destructive path. As Andrea said, $2 trillion every single year is spent on how to kill human beings. Okay, imagine that. And obviously in the manifesto, she details that to find out what you could do with $2 trillion of peace. You could go to the moon 10 times and back. You could go to Mars twice and back. I'm talking about together, not just separately. And you could build 100 million homes, hospitals, schools. Imagine that world. Imagine if we spend that money instead of killing each other on educating ourselves, on keeping our health, and on exploring the outer space and inner spirit. Okay. Now I'm an optimist. Everyone that knows me knows that I'm an optimistic. So I do believe there is hope. Okay, because in the devil that I see in humanity, I also, believe it or not, I do also see angels. Okay, and I am so blessed to share this platform with equal angels. Angels that, unlike me, are just spouting words. There are angels that have gone through the pains of war, that, like Vincent, have taken a bullet. Luckily, he had a Kevlar helmet to protect him. God bless that Kevlar helmet. Otherwise, he won't be here telling us his story. So, so yeah, I will do as much as I can to obviously voice. But I said to you, I'm one of the lucky few. So I don't make no, I'm in my comfy apartment here in Hoboken in America. The only thing I can complain about is the snow not getting cleared out of my, front yard. Seriously, right? What people here are taking bullets for children and are suffering horrendous things. All I can complain about is not having my snow cleared, all right? And shame on me. But at least I'm trying something, and we all should try something. We should all try, all 7.8 billion, okay? If you cannot take a bullet to save children, if you cannot go through the pain of war and experience it, then do what I'm doing. Voice your opinion. Say, war is no longer what humanity needs, because that is the only path to extinction, okay? So obviously, Andrea, as I mentioned, one of our great collaborators with our collective is Dr. Nadeem. He was the presidential candidate of Afghanistan. So we're working with his Afghanistan Peace Association, which is a UN NGO for the past 30 years. So one of the nations that has suffered wars and exploitation for the last 200 years is Afghanistan. So it is our goal, our collective goal, to try to campaign with them. And Andrea, amazing. She's put on together a curriculum, education for peace curriculum that we intend to deliver freely to the entire world. Okay, so the world needs to start learning and practicing peace. Okay, so if my voice helps point humanity in that direction, then at least that is, I've done my bit for humanity. Okay, so I said to you, I share this platform with real superheroes, so I don't want to take more time and let these people out there in the world that's listening in to hear the voice of real superhero, which I'm so proud of sharing this life with. Okay, so God bless us all as we go down this path of peace and love. Thank you.
Thank you, Leong. Without your wisdom and your guidance, it will be much harder for activists and what you call superheroes, which of course they are, to go and you can imagine how many people you inspire, believe it or not. So thank you for your beautiful words, which are truthful. And I'm gonna pass this to Vincent. I'm longing so much to hear his full story, because he reminds me, like, when I was much little, I knew that when I grew up, I wanted to be a real life superhero, like maybe Gandhi or maybe Nelson Mandela, but I wanted to be an activist. And I even used to think that maybe someday I could might change to a tree or do something significant to help others. So I am very happy that there are people that has been doing that for many years, many years. And so please, Vincent, I pass this to you. And thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Leong. Humbled and honored as always to be here and speak about global peace. That's one of the reasons why I started and formed We Can Save Children some 7 years ago, protecting the rights of trafficked, enslaved, refugee, orphan children around the world. Thank you, everyone. I was sitting down at dinner a few nights ago with my father, and my father's a lover of history. I've learned much from him over the course of my life. And he brought up, kind of completely out of the blue, he said, you know, why do human beings have this obsession of just wanting to kill each other? And I was born actually in Yemen. My father was in the British Royal Air Force, and he got stationed in Aden. So I grew up as a children of, actually I was born on the Royal Air Force base in Yemen. And whether it's Christian versus Christian, Protestant versus Catholic, Muslim versus Muslim, Sunni versus Shia, Muslim versus Hindu, Christian versus Jew, Muslim versus Christian, we seem to have been killing each other for millennia. And then we have obviously these splinter groups. Many of these groups I have actually met and interviewed. Al-Qaeda in Pakistan and Afghanistan, ISIS in Iraq and Syria, Boko Haram in Nigeria and Cameroon. And I have actually, you know, sat down and interviewed many of these different groups, and I'll explain a little more in detail. And then we have tribal groups, many of whom I've also met in Africa. For example, what happened in Rwanda between Hutu and Tutsi, or in South Sudan, the Dinka and Nuer. These tribal groups who basically, they look alike, they speak the same language, they eat the same food, they follow the same cultures, yet they want to kill each other. And in my own kind of experience, I've always, and I think that's why we're all here today, I've always innately believed that human beings at heart want peace, want to do good things, want to love, want to cherish. But in my own personal experience, I have seen otherwise. And as Leong brought up the fact that, yes, I'm graced by angels or whomever, and it's certainly not in a cool way to be here today. But the fact that day that I had that life-death experience that's happened more than once, was Christmas Day, actually. It was 106 degrees and dust and dirt I was besotted with. And as I lay on the ground, as this bullet ricocheted off my helmet, I lay face down in the dirt. My moped driver had been instantly killed from a ricocheting bullet. I turned around, looking a gun facing in my face, and as I got up, this group of young, between 12 and 20 young boys, once they found out I was from America, and they, you know, broken English, oh, Big Apple, oh, we love America because they give us so many guns. And they all shooting their guns in the air, happy and everything. Meanwhile, a busload of men, women, and children. And they were kind of laughing and joking with me as they turned and sent me off their way. So think of that dichotomy, that kind of yin and yang, that happy, smiling, and then only a minute later to murder a whole busload of men, women, and children. In when I was in Ghana, I was interviewing a slave master, and the fact that they were buying and selling children for $20, it actually worked out in local currency to $18 for a child. But me trying to sit there calmly, speaking to this slave master, and to him, no emotion. His pupils were not dilating in any way. There was no passion or anything, speaking just in a normal tone of voice, and basically telling me it was merely a business. And I always remember the first time going to tropical sub-Saharan Africa, I had taken the wrong pair of socks, believe it or not. And my feet were like, had jungle rot. And when I came back, there's a certain Army and Navy store I go to. And I immediately walked in and I said, I need the proper socks for sub-Saharan Africa. And he says, oh, don't take any of those on the wall. He says, I'll get you some proper socks. So he went in the back storeroom, brought out these socks. And he says, these are the ones you need. He says, they cost $20. And I said, I'll take 3 pairs. So I gave him the $60 and I walked outside. I remember it was pouring with rain. And I walked 1 block and it hit me like a steam roller. And I dropped down, crying my eyes out, the rain falling on me. And basically it just hit me that I spent $60, the price of 3 children that I had just left. And these things, these kind of, that become synonymous with the things that I've experienced. A few years back, I was in Iraq and I got the opportunity to interview and meet with members of ISIS. And I remember clearly that this extreme, they're thinking that, I said, do you really believe that you can defeat the American war machine, the coalition of 26 countries? I said, do you really believe that, 30,000 strong? He said, oh, yes, yes. And again, clear as I'm speaking here, if it takes 100 years, if it takes 1,000 years, we will defeat the American empire, da, da, da. And he looked me straight in the face, to the point after saying that if we meet again, he will kill me and my entire family. And, these things that have caused me great loss of sleep many times, post-traumatic stress, and but yet, and people look at me and say, wow, you're crazy for being in these places to do this. I said, but at the end of the day, I really and truly believe that I'm here for a purpose, like you all are as well. And I again, it comes back to the fact, it's the reason why I started the foundation, We Can Save Children, and protecting the rights of women and innocent children. And I wanted to read something in closing. I very kind of rarely do this, so I'll just put my glasses on, which I need to read, and also read music. And it's by a great philosopher, Thomas Hobbes. And he talks about how human beings, perhaps all animals and living things, seek to preserve themselves against harm and death. Obviously, self-preservation is a value that we all have in common, and it leads to a very important point. And he raised this investigation. He said, suppose that someone is strong enough to harm us at their pleasure. Obviously, I've seen that too many times. The rational thing, to do is to form an agreement with others to protect against that person or get rid of them. There is strength in numbers. But if we can band together for to form an individual, then we can also agree on common rules that mutually protect us from each other. That is to make and live by a social agreement by which all of us accept limitations on our liberty in exchange for common security. And I will leave it at that. That we all, yes, we all cherish human life, want peace throughout the world. And it does take it takes a group of us to send the message out. And again, I want to thank you all today and look forward to hearing from the rest of my colleagues. God bless all.
Thank you, Vincent. That was very touching. And I'm glad we can share that, we share your story with the entire world, because at the end it's just to spread more awareness that depending on our race, like you were explaining before, even if we have different religions, even if we are from different countries, at the end we're just one human race, and we need to learn how to cohabitate together in peace, to stop these crazy things like the selling of other human life like they have a price. So thank you for that beautiful speech and for your last words. Now I would love to pass this to Sevgul Metin. She has worked and encouraged with disadvantaged children in her community, and she's also a passionate activist. She has supported also Muslim women, and well, she's just devoted to helping others. She's a beautiful soul. So I'm very happy to have here with us today. Please, this is all yours, Sevgul. Welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Vincent and Andrea, for allowing me to voice have a voice on this platform. I'm from the United Kingdom. I'm a graduate from a Master's of Law. I want to specialise in human rights. I want to be able to work in a career that would help individuals. I'm very passionate about helping anyone in all walks of life, not just people in the UK, but as you mentioned, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of wars going on. There's a lot of conflict. And it's all to do with power and greed. And as you said, Leong, it's always the innocent people that suffer. My parents are Turkish Cypriot, so they come over here to escape the war in Cyprus. And a lot of the world, they don't know about Turkish Cypriots. Whenever I introduce myself, I always say I'm a Turkish Cypriot, but they don't quite understand what's the difference. Cyprus is divided. You've got the south, which is Greek, and north, which is Turkish. And there has been conflicts for many years. There was a war from 1963 to 1974, where there was an ethnic cleansing of the Turkish Cypriots. And I just want to spread awareness, because negotiations haven't been finalised. The UN are involved, the British are involved, but there never seems to be, there's no resolution. The Greek Cypriots, they don't want to negotiate. There's been 56 failed negotiations, and even the latest was in 2017, where again, he just dismissed all negotiations from the table. And this is purely down to land. And I just want the awareness. I want people to understand and see that we are a nation. There is Turkish Cypriots. I was born and raised in the UK, but I feel like I'm a foreigner in my own country. I go to Cyprus, I feel like a foreigner there. Because people don't recognise us as a nation, and it's very upsetting that I have to explain the history of Cyprus, because nobody knows. My parents, again, they had to flee Cyprus because of the war that broke out. I had family members that were buried alive in a village. You know, their remains, they still haven't come to light. And only in 2020, 14 children from 4 months old to 15 years of age were found, and they went missing in 1963, and their remains have only just been found, and they got laid to rest. So things like that are always coming up. So a lot of people may say, okay, this war happened in 1963, but a lot of people are still reliving that. Again, we have Sami here who's lived through the Holocaust. That type of thing will stay with you. It doesn't matter how many years go past, you still have those nightmares. And although I haven't lived through that, I lived through that through my family, because I know what they went through. You know, in 1974, Turkish army went into Cyprus to save the Turkish Cypriots from the genocide. And the British didn't want to get involved. A lot of people didn't want to get involved, and this is the problem. A lot of people do know that things like this are going on, but they just don't want to get involved. So again, the women and children, even the men, innocent victims are always victimized. And a lot of refugees had to flee. Some come to the UK, some went to America, some went to Australia. So it's very disheartening, and I just want to use my voice and be able to help find a resolution and bring peace, because we all have a right to live in this world, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever. You know, no one's superior above anybody. We all should live together as one. And I want to be able to use my voice, my time on the earth. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sevgul. Absolutely. And I am very happy that you're sharing this with all of us, but also with the world, because sadly in places like America or many other countries in Europe, we absolutely ignore the pains of other countries and the conflicts other countries are living. We don't even hear about them on the news.
No.
And we absolutely ignore them, and we ignore those stories. How can we help these people then? Only if these people speak up, and there's people like you who works hard to give a voice and a face for all these unknown that need help. There's no other way we can change it. So thank you. And I am glad that now I know about this too. And you just said absolutely truth. We are just saying there's no superiority here. And I am very happy that you came and shared the platform with us. It's always our honor. So thank you, Sevgul.
Thank you.
I'm gonna pass this to David Karlsson, the representative of the Call to Friendship Association. He studies human consciousness and deeper aspects of it. And I think that's a very important thing to have into account about human evolution when we talk about wars and peace. So please, David, longing and curious to hear about your speech, and thank you for being here. I pass this over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you see me and hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Yes. Okay. I am here today as one of the representatives for Call to Friendship Association, where we work with the knowledge book, which gives divine cosmic energies and universal knowledge to create peace and world unification. We call this speech, Peace in Us Creates Peace on Earth. We live together in a quantum field where all matter, thoughts, feelings, all energy on Earth are entangled on a quantum level. In the quantum field, energy goes where thought attention is. Thoughts create energy, and thoughts can be reflected and travel far in the quantum field. The power of thought can help us create peace. Collective thoughts strengthen our power to create constructive energy. Changed thoughts and behaviors often affect each other in both ways. We can change the instinctive and destructive fear and ego and create a healthier quantum field world of peace by thoughts on mutual respect and cooperation. We need consciousness education to induce that maturity of humankind. The knowledge book gives us universal knowledge that raises our consciousness of understanding ourselves and how to create peace. The book carries a divine photon technique that enables the attraction and reflection of godly cosmic energies, which helps us to awaken our divine essence consciousness, where peace is a natural state of mind. The knowledge book is the intergalactic universal constitution and was dictated at the end of the 19th century to Vidya Bülent Unse Chorak, alias Mevlana. In the knowledge book, there is a message from the Egyptian god Ammon and his spaceship Hora, where the word "kot" means a certain consciousness altitude. The message says, Egypt discovered all the knowledge. However, your globe was not yet being able to enter the necessary magnetic medium it had to enter. In other words, it was not able to settle in the universal evolvement code yet. For this reason, the command to destroy much of the knowledge was given, and the great library where all the knowledge was assembled was made to be burnt down. 4. Humankind who was not able to overcome their ego mediums, yet could upset the order of the universe by that knowledge. The atom was discovered then, and rockets were discovered too. Direct connection was established with UFOs then. The voice of heavens was announced to the ground then. Quote from Pascal 7. We have to educate humans of all ages and cultures on how to create peace. In that education, we must give knowledge about how the impulsive reactive ego sometimes rules us, and instead teach us how to create peace of mind. We are all a big family in space. We come from the same source, even those we see as enemies. We share the same genes with some who are not from our biological family. We have to release our passion for profit, where we fight to get more than others, and release the fear of losing that triggers our primitive survival instincts, making us not sharing and fight for energy sources. The trust of mutual respect and cooperation will help us to release war. To create peace, we must teach ourselves and others about the universal law of discretion, which basically means to not create negative thoughts and actions. It is an evolution to become humane, where we transcend our individualistic thoughts and instead reach the thoughts and behaviors in a unity consciousness. Those who go to destructive war must be educated by the firm masses of peace activists in the world. The goal is that every human is a natural peace activist. I can see the consciousness of peace arise around me. However, sometimes our children are influenced by negative thought reflections that make them gain an aggressive mode. The lack of self-love is sometimes a cause of destructive behavior. Self-love is a key to not give room for the reactive ego in survival mode. Respect for all that is created is imperative in the consciousness education we give our children. Focus on spiritual, psychological, and philosophical knowledge education is more important than focus on some technological developments only used for entertainment, which sometimes only make us flee from responsibilities in the real world. Up to the age of 7, our children are mostly programmed without logical reflection by the negative thought reflections and behaviors of society, which creates that our children's psyches might come into low vibrational states and creates consciousness contradictions that confuse them, which can make them create negative thoughts, which can give rise to destructive aggressive behaviors. We, the adults, must stop our reactive and destructive negative thoughts. We, the adults, must learn self-love, gain a consciousness where we understand that we are all divine beings. We, the adults, have to live as we teach, in cooperation to create peaceful thoughts and behaviors. Together we become stronger, and like the theory of the 100th monkey, when more people come together and focus on creating peace, we will affect others to do the same. To come together, we must be aware when fear and ego separates us. We have to prioritize our scientific research in creating peace. That also means focusing on technological solutions that will help the world come closer to a respectable standard of living. Scientific human research and its teaching can create a way of understanding humans' psychology, ego, and how to raise our consciousness in an effective way on Earth. Peace science solutions give way for us to stop fighting for energy as food and water. It is time for the world to know and learn the cosmic power and universal knowledge hidden from us. Some universal knowledge was encoded in mythology and shows us that we live under godly universal laws, for example, the law of karma. To give us back the cosmic power of thought, the antimatter, the world, has to come to a consciousness where we see the world as one civilization. We have to look back from the time of Atlantis and forward and understand what made us not succeed to unite in former incarnations, and what made us degenerate and lose our inherent and promised knowledge and power of God, and what made the ancient civilizations face extinction in the past and instead learn how to make a difference in the present moment. We are all here to evolve and help others to evolve, not just live and die. This moment is an intense and crucial time for humankind. Universal laws from divine hierarchical powers decide if humankind has reached a level of maturity where we can create a peaceful world together. This makes this world as a school with peace examinations for us. I believe in a humane, peaceful world, despite chaos seen. I think that humankind will rise as the bird phoenix from the dualistic lessons of the world. With our peaceful world, we will be able to say hello to our friends and ancestors in space. Thank you all for listening. We are with you to create the conscious, peaceful mind on Earth in the Olympics of Peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. It was needed words of wisdom. and I really appreciate that. We're always happy to have you with us. And I just wanted to say that our dearest Teresa has joined us, has been able to join us. I am very happy, Teresa. Thank you for always coming and support us. Teresa Nacli is a woman that I personally admire, because she's not only a pure loving soul, but she's also very brave. And I am honored to be part of her foundation, the Museum of the Future Foundation, which is trying to build a peace center in the middle of a war zone, which is Golan Heights. But I'm gonna pass it to her now to speak about all the wonderful things for peace she has been working all these years for. So thanks, dearest sister. Please, it's your turn. Thank you for being with us today. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, perfect.
Yes, thank you for the invitation. You know, each day I feel that we need, like you said, speak more and more about peace, because there is no money for peace. But I think there's enough tongues in the world and women that do not want to send their kids to the war to be a soldier, to kill or to be killed. We must change the biggest industry in the planet Earth is the weapon industry. So when you talk about peace, we have to go directly to the point. Who makes money with this war? Who's making such money? Why do we have to still fighting with so much technology for land? For what? Can we split the planet and be happy and respect each other? And how? We have the human rights letter that was born with the United Nations in 1948. Nobody actually, we never fulfill the desire what this letter of human rights was written. We didn't give the rights for the Black people. We didn't give the rights for the Indians, the native. We didn't have give rights to the poor people. Why they cannot work, make money? What kind? We were lost. You know, today what runs our planet is the industry, is the financial industry, is the money. If you have the money, you put whatever you wanted. So there is no money for peace, but just for war. So it's a big gap. We cannot talk, but if you don't act, nothing's going to happen. So I have a project for the planet Earth that can prove that we can make peace. It is the Golan Heights. That is Israel is occupying since 1967. My land, or my land of my ancestor, or Jesus' land, or Christian sacred land is not Jerusalem. It's the spring of Jordan River, where Jesus was recognized as a Messiah. I think we must understand the real story, what went on there. This is the sacred place on earth. And my dream is to build a center of peace where we can talk about, doesn't matter which religion. We want to honor all the religions. Doesn't matter, God is just one. And we must direct our energy and our words, like he said before, we need to act and talk. You know, God create the world. If we see Genesis, just saying, do this, do that, create this. This is God giving us an example. We have to give orders. We have to send our word to the universe so can come back and more and no more, and not be ashamed to talk. I was, even in my city, I was crazy. I'm talking about peace. See, so when you talk about peace and when you're crazy, you're not going to achieve anything. You know, to tell the truth, I was ashamed. I lost a lot of friends because of that, because I think differently. And am I wrong? I don't know. Am I pushing too much to talk too much? Someone has to do it. Someone has to do the job. So I'm happy that you're doing this beautiful job, Andrea. You know, and when I hear you're talking with such young age, you're so much conscious. God, we should have all the kids, because you're a kid, you're a baby. And I'm 67. And when I see, I think this new generation like yours, I have hope. I have hope. So I have the project for Golden Heights was to rebuild a peace center, was the real place of the transfiguration of Jesus. And but nothing happens yet, because every time it's something different, or money issue, or settle with the locals, or settle with Israeli government, or you have the right, you don't have the right. So I got authorization to rebuild the church from the Sheikh. I got from authorization for the government of Israel. And then it started another problems, because my family has a lot of land there in the Druze area. They think I'm coming back to install another religion, Christian. No, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to unite it. There's a place, my blood is Jewish blood. I have Druze blood, and I have Christian blood. And I say I'm United Nations, my blood, because I have a Druze grandmother, I have a Christian grandfather, and a Jewish grandfather, and that's the history. And I hope someday we can achieve this place over there, so we can talk about peace, uniting Israel, Syria, Lebanon, all the Middle East. Israel can be the center and command peace if they want. Israel has all the technology, all the will if they want peace. If they want to stop with the weapon industry and let Netanyahu not be a toy boy for the weapon industry to promote the war, and just peace will be different. And I think we have to have a new generation in that area, because we prove already enough terrorism is not in weapons, and killing is not the answer. Like I said, the mothers don't want to send their kids to the war. There's a movement in Israel that started with 4 mothers. They call the 4 mothers movement, because they do not want to send their kids to the army when 18 years old. Because like when you have a baby in Israel, you know that 18 you have to go to the army to be killed or killed. So that is changing. Thanks God. I hope we don't need army for this kind of protection, but an army that they clean up, plant flowers, help people, health, education, a different army in the planet. It's an army of the tourism, put everybody to help each other and travel the world and know the world, clean our house. That's my message.
And it's a beautiful one, Teresa, because as you said, it goes beyond words, it goes to actions. And hope is immortal and is bulletproof. And dreams of peace are fated to become true. So thank you for making it happen, making it possible, and work restlessly despite your own well-being, despite your health. I know that you work restlessly to make peace dreams to come true. So thank you, Teresa. I love you. And now I should pass this platform to Sami Steigmann, who is someone who lives to tell about his story, to awake more consciousness, also on the youngest generation, such mine, to make us learn about the horrors he has survived. And I pray for those kinds of terrible things to not happen no longer in the future of Earth. So thank you, Sami, for being with us today. Longing to hear your speech. Thank you.
I'm very honored to be part of this panel. When I was a year and a half, my parents and I were deported to a labor camp. I was subjected to medical experiments. The side effects I still feel them today. And I teach the young people not to stereotype, because a German woman who brought food to the guards of the SS had access to the camp. When she saw the physical signs that I'm dying of starvation, she decided, at the risk of the life of her entire family, to give me milk. We have to understand that all the tragedies of the world have started with words and bullying. And we have to be very careful when we use the words. We have to use the proper things, because the Minister of Propaganda under Hitler said, a lie told long enough becomes truth. Okay, and we have to differentiate between genocide, which is happening today, which is the murder of a group of people, and Holocaust, which is the annihilation of a group of people. The other thing we also have to differentiate between anti-Semitism, which refers only to one group, hate. No ethnic group should ever be persecuted, intimidated, okay, and face dire consequences. Therefore, although as a Jew I do not fight just hatred, I mean just anti-Semitism, I fight hatred. I live alone in New York, and for practical purposes, I've been in house arrest for 10 months, maybe even longer. However, the positive outlook on life has sustained me. And what I want to say is that we are going through a very difficult period of time, COVID-19. However, there is another virus which is much, much more dangerous. And that is the virus of bigotry, anti-Semitism, bullying, hate, and ideology. It can never be eradicated. It will just take different forms throughout different generations. Okay. The only way that we can combat all of these things is only through education. And my mission in life today, okay, I call it emet, which is the Hebrew word for truth. And I'm going to explain to you each letter. It is to educate, okay, the next generation, and by telling them certain historical facts. It is to motivate the young people to be the best that they can be. It is to empower them, okay, to become active, not to be bystanders, to become upstanders when they see the slightest injustice, to do something about it. And at the same time, to teach them about tolerance. And this is accepting other people's culture, other people's opinion. I will close, okay, with only two things that I'm very unhappy what's happening in this country. People have forgotten how to disagree in a civil way. And number two, our leaders do not teach the young generation the proper thing, and that is to take responsibility for their own actions. Okay, once you take responsibility for your own action, believe it or not, and I can tell you from my personal experience, you don't have the need to blame. You don't, okay, and the other people, you don't need to blame circumstances. And what you can do, you become a free man and you can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sami. And absolutely, education is the key to create peace on earth. And we need people to give us the right knowledge for us to learn the right ways, just like you have explained. And I am very glad that you are devoted to keep giving that knowledge and sharing your experience with young people and people from all around the world, because we need to hear that. And I just love what you just said about assuming our responsibility. I said that it's not like we'll want to change the world, it's like we must. It's our responsibility to make those change happen. Otherwise, the sex mass extinction is coming, and that's not an exaggeration. So right now, I will leave 10 minutes for 5 minutes for questions and answers. Of if any of our speakers have any comment or question for each of our rest of our speakers, I will be very happy to hear. I just love that you all have participated. Thank you all very much. And in case I haven't told you already, Happy New Year for you all. Yes, Leong?
Sorry, I don't mean to be rude by playing the music, because I was trying to read through the Facebook Live to see if there's any comment. So there's a question from Christine Myers, Elaine Myers. So she wants to know what the future agenda that we have. Obviously, you know, there's people here, Sivu, who's, you know, obviously going to be campaigning. I know Vincent's going to go and keep taking bullets for everyone. Like I said to you, I'm one of the ones that keep telling you he's a nutcase. In a nice way, of course. In a nice way, of course. But,
I don't want to
bless his heart, he puts other people's life before his own. So, you know, it's like, so that's what I'm saying. I'm obviously a coward. I say, well, I have a loud voice, so that's the only thing I can help do is obviously tell his story. But Kirsten had a good question, actually, very good. What is our agenda moving forward? So, is there anyone out there that wants to answer that question?
Well, if you remember our past OHOW conference, one of our main supporters, which is our dearest Vasan Kamalabadi, he talked about how we all should share the same peace agenda because we're all working for the same. No matter where we are, no matter is our cause, peace is only one cause. And our peace agenda is working on education and on peace negotiations and on real activism, and not just talking, but do the walking, just like our guest here. So yes, if anyone wants to share what their thoughts are on this.
Well, I believe, not to cut in, yes, I wanted to actually it was wonderful to see Teresa. We haven't seen each other in a little while. We actually spent a good deal of time in northern Golan at her home. So it was wonderful to see her. But I believe all our agenda is a unification here, though we all have our kind of separate goals and obligations. I mean, for example, I've been in talks with the government of Pakistan in the past couple of weeks, and looks like I'm going to be heading to Kashmir in April. Obviously, again, like Sevgul Cypriots, very few people know about what's going on in Kashmir between Indian government and the Pakistan government. This has been going on for as long as the Palestinian situation, since 1948. So I'm going there to meet with local groups and organizations, refugee camps, speaking with local people that are under the misery of the Indian occupation. So that is my initial agenda. Again, no, thank you, Leon. I don't want to be taking any more bullets for anybody. So that is not my intention at all. So that's my immediate, and that's supposed. They wanted me to come as early as next month, but I think April is a little more realistic. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Yes, thank you. Yes, sir.
I would like to have a question for Sevgul, who I found. She told me her name in Turkish means royal love. So that's what we need around the world, by the way. Okay. But the question I have for her, obviously, she told us of her historic history. Actually, I was brought up in England in the 70s, so actually I do know about the Cypriot story because obviously the British Empire, which I grew up in Singapore, was part of it. But I'll be honest with you, I hear different stories from different sides. So if you speak to a Greek Cypriot, you hear one story. You speak to a Turkish Cypriot, you hear another story. And, you know, and obviously I'm neutral because I'm not Cypriot, of course. I don't ever lived in, but it's like both sides seem to have conflicting stories. And a lot of, like Sami brought correctly, you know, if you have verbal conflict, that's where they all start, you know. So I would like to hear from her is how she feels, because she said, I think thousands and thousands of negotiation, and it's getting nowhere. So how does she feel in her homeland that you're going to break that impasse? If end of the day you have a Greek Cypriot telling me in one ear one thing, and a Turkish Cypriot telling me in another ear in one thing, and it's like, okay, well, which one is right, you know? maybe they're both wrong. Maybe that's the point. Maybe they're both wrong. Okay, but like I said, as a neutral, I would like to hear how she feels in her homeland, a Cypriot, that the possibility of breaking that impasse. You know, I would love to hear if she has any viable solution of, okay, enough of this thousands of negotiation. What is it going to take to bring genuine peace?
That's a good question, Leong. So I always try and remain neutral. Obviously, you know, my parents are Turkish Cypriot, and especially with the career that I'm going down, I have to remain neutral with everything. But there's been thousands of books being written by the British people, American people that was actually there when it happened. You've got President Johnson at the time, who he actually gave an interview, and he said the Greek Cypriots and the Turkish Cypriots are both our friends, but there's more Greek Cypriots at the time, and you can see that the Turks are getting killed out there. So there are a lot of people putting the Greek and the Turkish Cypriot side that know what was going on. I mean, both my grandparents one worked for the UN, one worked for the British Army, and the UN actually got my grandfather out of the country before the war broke. He said that we're going to take you to Turkey so you don't have to fight in the war. My grandfather, who was part of the British Army, he's a lieutenant at the time, said, we suggest you go to the UK. So not in so many words, they were trying to get them out. My father, he came here when he was 15. He came because he was of age to do the national service. He didn't want to take part in the war, because as Teresa said, you kill or you be killed. So he fled for that reason. And that's what's going on. And the failed negotiations, it's all down to greed again. It's down to property, to land. I mean, if you see the map of Cyprus, you see that the majority of the land is owned by the Greek Cypriots, and we've got the north. And we haven't got that much of the land. And for the Greek Cypriots to say, right, if you give us this land, part of the land, we will agree for you to have direct flights. Because I don't know if some of you are aware, it is illegal for you to fly direct to northern Cyprus. You have to land in Turkey and then take off again. And they use blackmail techniques by, if you give us that land, you will be able to fly direct to northern Cyprus. So it's always a one-way negotiation, which is wrong. And I think there's a time where somebody has to step in and say, right, you know, someone's got to give here. It needs to be fair. Because it's just unfair, isn't it? You can't, it's like me saying, right, if you give me £1,000, I'll give you this, or, you know, it needs to be an equal bargaining power. So I think they need to take the greed aside and not keep negotiating on land, because both sides lost land. That's not what we're debating here. Both sides lost land. But for one person to take more land from the other, that's where it's wrong. I mean, 53 years of failed negotiations, that's just ridiculous. There needs to be a time where that comes to an end. I mean, we're in 2021 now and there's still no negotiations. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if only I can sit around at negotiation table. I mean, my father's cousin was the president of Cyprus. His name was Denktash, but he passed away. And it would have been great because he studied law in the United Kingdom. And then he went on to be the president. And if he was alive today, I would have done a lot of work with him. I would have worked alongside him. I would have moved over to Northern Cyprus and probably got into politics, knowing that somebody who actually lived through that war and was the president at the time. But I mean, my hands are tied because I live here. I don't know the politics over there at the moment. So it's something that I would like to get into and try and help. But again, I don't know how I would be able to help.
I'm going to give you one solution. I do know how. I'm sorry, but I'm a very arrogant person that people know. Okay, I'm very arrogant. There is a solution, okay? And the solution is the platform that we're on today. Remember the platform we're on today.
Yeah.
It is one humanity, one world. I repeat, guys, one humanity, one world, okay? So for the stupid people out there, and I'm sorry, but Sami was pointing at me because he knows how vulgar I get, but I get vulgar at basically stupid, evil, racist people, okay? Because that ultimately is the cause of all of humanity ill. It's the racism. It's the our race is better than your race, my religion is better than your religion, my skin color is better than your skin color, okay? Yeah. So as long as we see differences in each other, where we're, like I said, a Turkish Cypriot or Greek Cypriot, it's like, no, you actually, aren't you human beings? Isn't there only one human being on this planet? Sorry, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm proud. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud to be Chinese. I'm proud to be a British passport holder. I'm proud to be an American passport holder. But guess what? I'm still a human being, you know, and these people, these 7 people, guess what? They're all bloody human beings. Pardon my English, okay? I was brought up in Liverpool, so I like to swear a lot, and I get heated and passionate, okay? So that is the very, very simple solution. We need, as Sami said, as David said, as Vincent said, as Andrea said, as you said, as Teresa said, and as I said, we need to educate humanity onto peace, okay? We need to educate that there is only one human species. If we kill each other, there is no other human species that is going to take over this planet, okay? And that is your solution. And that is what we need to work together. You and everyone here to say, yeah, we can be proud of our culture. I can be proud of my Chinese ancestry. Okay, absolutely. Okay, I can be proud that I live in England and speak an English accent. God bless the Queen, you know. I can be proud of my American democracy, the land of the brave and free. Proud of it, but I'm still one human being, okay? I was educated that, okay? So again, I'm arrogant. I have a PhD in nuclear physics, but it should not need a PhD in nuclear physics to teach stupid people, and I do call them stupid, all right, who sees racism, okay? Get it in your head, okay? We are one race, all right? Once we educate ourselves to that, then we will have peace, okay? That is the ultimate solution. It's not going to be easy. It's easy for me to scream and bloody this, bloody that. It's not going to be easy, okay? But if it's easy, thank God, anyone could have done it by now, right? Everyone could have Nobel Prize, okay? But we need to speak our voice, and some of us, like Vincent, and obviously Sami's gone through that. Vincent still taking bullets for us, okay? And we'll still continue to take bullets for us, but we need to take action, okay? We need loud voice like mine to scream loudly, obnoxiously, that peace is the only way, okay? And we need people, action people like you, to go out there and do that action, okay? So it is a very simple solution, okay? And it's the solution that Andrea's created. One humanity, one world, okay?
Luckily, in consciousness and ignorance have a cure, that is knowledge, truth, and education. And we are all working for that and doing good deeds. I would like to end up this session thanking you all, but I want to remark, as some of our speakers have mentioned, the responsibility we have to be the change we want to see in the world. And our mission of unification, it's the most important mission we all should take and take action for. So thank you, all of you. God bless you all, or the universe. It doesn't really matter how you want to call it. The thing is that we are all united, and I am very happy to call you all my global family. Please keep working for peace, keep inspiring other people, and keep doing what you're doing, which is being wonderful human beings. Big hug for you all, and thank you for everyone that has watched us on Facebook Live. I'm gonna end this session now.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Pleasure. Nice to meet you all.
God bless you all.